Today we will talk about classical and Renaissance revival jewelry. 19th century jewelry means enriching the present by looking at the past. This had developed in the 1830s when designers such as Pugin in England and soon after Froment Meurice in France turned to the Gothic art as a source of inspiration. Few examples of earrings in Gothic style are known, and those are usually made from Berlin iron, a material particularly well suited to reproducing Gothic tracery. The full bloom of revivalism occurs in the 1860s and 1870s, and this is particularly true of jewelry. The styles to be revived were mainly pre-classical and classical, Italian and French Renaissance, and the period of Louis XVI. Contemporary archaeological discoveries in Etruria and in the Greek islands such as Knossos, Melos, and Rhodes were bringing to light large quantities of exceptional ancient jewelry. The importance and popularity of earrings in antiquity was in some ways comparable to the 1860s and 1870s. It was natural, therefore, the antique shapes, designs, and techniques were copied and interpreted in this period. Among the leaders in the style were the Castellanis in Rome and Naples. They not only copied and reinterpreted the examples of the past, but also set antique fragments such as engraved gemstones and coins as part of the interpretation of ancient jewelry. This is particularly evident in works like the gold and carnelian earrings set with Roman intaglios depicting a trophy of arms and a hunting scene. Ernesto Piret was another famous jeweler in Rome who produced earrings of Etrusco-Roman inspiration. A good example is the pair designed as a triangular panel decorated with beadwork and corded wire typical of Greek and Etruscan goldsmith work, flanked by baton motifs with spherical drop terminals, probably inspired by the Roman cortalia, which Pliny describes as ornaments designed to tinkle at every movement. This was a favorite motif for earrings, and many examples survive where the baton-shaped drops are combined with various smiles. The archaeological fad was such that as early as 1859 it became the target of satirical sketches. In a young lady on the high classical school of ornament depicted a devotee of the antique style with an excess of jewels, tiaras, hair ornaments, necklaces, bracelets, pendants, and lock earrings, all of Greek and Etruscan inspiration. Some revivalist earrings derive specifically from well-known antique prototypes, while others are merely pastiches of different archaeological motifs. A good example of this first type is the Etruscan bulle earring of 5th century BC, pedigree which reappears almost identical in the late 1860s. It has one closed side with a decoration of applied stylized flower heads, rosettes, and wirework typical of ancient examples. Even 19th century novelty materials such as lava from Vesuvius, Wedgwood, jasper wire, and tortoiseshell were adapted to earrings inspired by the antique. Somehow, the frivolous typical of the 19th century creeps through the severe and linear shapes, archaeological classicism, so that they could never be mistaken for the real thing. This is particularly true of two pairs of earrings where Roman gold low leaf and Greek amphora are suspended from circular semas decorated with frivolous 19th century flower motifs. The Renaissance revival with this interesting sculptural and figurative shapes and enamel work began in the 1840s in France, but did not affect earrings until the 1860s. Among the influential jewelers working in this style was Carlo Giuliano, an Italian who spent most of his working life in England. In this case, not only does the enamel technique and the bold sculptural shape remind us of the famous Renaissance pendants, but the symbolism too in Renaissance. Fantastic creatures such as dragons and griffins with pronounced sculptural quality and the widespread use of polychrome enamels were typical of the French Renaissance revival. What gives away the fact that these belong to the 19th and not the 16th century is their passion for ornate and frilly detail, which always tends to creep in and detract from the boldness of the sculptural fact. This is particularly evident in the fringe of pearls and rosettes, as some out of the griffin earrings reproduced. The gold, polychrome enamel, and hardstone cameo earrings, each set with a cameo mask holding a floral festoon suspended from a three-headed mask mount, which the London jeweler John Brogden exhibited at the Paris Universal Exhibition of 1867, although imbued with a certain Renaissance feeling, are closer to late 18th century neoclassicism. In France, among other revivals, that of the Louis XVI style was particularly favored by the Empress Eugene, who, anxious to emulate Marie Antoinette in establishing in France a grand monarchic tradition, revived, together with the crinoline, all the girandoles, bows, and ribbons motifs of French 18th century jewelry. She commissioned Babst, the famous French jeweler, to remount part of the crown jewel in Louis XVI style. The great majority of pendeloque and girandole earrings revived at this time in France were set with pearls and diamonds, but Eugene's favorite stone wasn't the emerald, and it quickly became the most popular card gemstone in France. And today that's all we wanted to discuss. Stay tuned for future podcasts.